Hey everyone, it's Andrew Schiffman.
Harry Turcott here. We both worked at MTV in the music and talent department in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it was a time where music videos, TRL, The Jersey Shore, and the Osbournes ruled the airwaves.
Yes, Andrew, those are some great years. So tune in every week as we catch up with old MTV co-workers, record label execs, VJs, and artists.
I can't wait, Perry. We'll give you insights into meeting superstars before they were superstars and some juicy secrets from that golden age of MTV.
So grab your headphones and get ready to relive the era of music television and the people who shaped a generation.
Welcome to the Music Lounge. I'm excited today. This is a guest that was our first name when we started this podcast, and it's taken a while to get him, a good friend.
This is 7 months in the making here. So
Yeah.
we are very lucky that he found some time in his schedule to talk to us. Today we have Tuma Basa, who is formerly the Senior Director of Music Programming Initiatives at MTV and is currently Director of Black Music and Culture at YouTube. Welcome, Tuma.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you, Andrew.
Welcome.
I'm also the sexiest guest you've ever had.
Absolutely.
You know, international sex symbol, all those, every possible, you know what I mean? GQ.
You win.
Like, yeah, they don't know yet.
Listen,
Yeah.
I think Butter might be competing with you for that.
No. That's that's the whole podcast. We can discuss that the whole podcast.
Really good to have you, though, man.
Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it.
No, it's all love.
All right, we're going to jump right into it here.
Let's go.
Okay, so in doing the prep work for our taping today, I found a few pieces of info that I did not know, like you applied to be on The Real World and that you came to MTV from BET. What made you want to make the jump from BET to MTV, and how did that happen? And when you were eventually hired, what was your role at MTV?
Well, the Real World part was me in college. We sent an audition tape. It was me and another frat brother. We used the University of Iowa's media lab. We sent the tape. I actually got a call back I did a second round of interviews where it was a whole bunch of people on the phone, right?
What was the interview tape, Tuma?
I don't know.
Did you do something crazy, or was it just
Bunham Murray Productions? If they archive well, they have that tape.
All right, we're gonna track it down.
Yeah, but we did. I never kept a copy of the tape, and I'm glad it didn't work out. But it was my way of cracking into the music business or entertainment industry, etc. And I'm not sure what Real World what that was. But I'm guessing Hawaii. I don't know. That's my guess. I'll do the math to figure out because that was the 96 or so. And then,
that was the one Tech was on.
Well, yeah, Tech was the Real World Hawaii. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So yeah, Tech. And Tech worked at MTV. I knew Tech. I knew Tech. Yeah. Tech Money. He was a host for Direct Effect. You know what I mean? Later on, and then the BET part. I looked up to MTV when I was at BET. I always thought that was the next level. You know what I mean? The next level of, especially when it came to reach, because BET was exposure media. The music videos that we played, it was like a format. What at that time was called urban radio, and MTV was like the crossover when you reached like the wider audience. WIDER, because it's Black History Month, the other thing. It's WIDR, the wider audience, the broader audience, right? And also, I grew up on MTV. That's the other thing. Like in the 80s, BET, we only got BET for partial day where I was, you know? And when I was a kid, and in the 80s, you stayed home until your parents got home from work. And then you just watched MTV to kill the time, you know? So you knew all the words to Spandau Ballet or whatever, like, you know? Yeah, you know? Yeah.
So what were you doing when you got the job at BET?
So first I was doing cue sheets. First I was intern.
Okay.
Right. And then in the news department, then I did cue sheets. Like the cue sheets is like when you play the music video, you have to send to performing rights organizations that you know this video played for 3 minutes 30 seconds visual. This is ASCAP, and you had to do all that after. So I did that for a while. Greg Diggs hired me. I worked under Paul Porter. Paul Porter taught me a lot about music programming. So I was actually very prepared by the time I got to MTV in terms of what the fundamentals of music programming was, or what we call music curation now.
Yeah.
But Paul Porter taught me a lot. Then Kelly G and Stephen Hill came in. It was a regime change. And Stephen Hill was coming from MTV. And he brought a lot of the MTV style programming to BET. And he also moved us from Washington, D.C. to New York. And that was the segue that made the opening for the MTV opportunity. Because when I was in New York, I dealt with all the same video promotion people that the MTV people did, right? So it was Gary Fisher. When I confided in Gary Fisher that I was interested in working at MTV, and Gary Fisher is the one who made the intro to John L. Lister, who introed me to Amy Doyle, you know?
Perfect. And the rest is history, right?
Yeah, it's history. Amy Doyle is the one who hired me.
Yeah.
Amy hired me.
So when she brought you in, what was the job you were doing when you came in?
To do MTV Jams. MTV Jams was brand new. It flipped from MTVX, right? But also, if you remember, Perry, you remember this in the shipment, is you did programming, but you also did some label relations. Yep. And you also did some internal work, what we call cross-functional now. So I worked with the standards department, to get all the videos, get the edits. And for us, it was in our interest to speed up that process of getting all the edits because we wanted to get the videos ready for air.
Yeah.
Right? So for us to be competitive or to be timely, to premiere videos, to be first window, we wanted that part to happen fast. So I worked closely with Tom Chavez and Kathleen Shire and Janet Borelli for years, for like 10 years, like, you know.
They love taking your phone calls, man.
Oh my God. And also the library, you know, Jeffrey Christian and all them, like,
yeah.
Did you get it? Did you get the video? Has it been delivered? Is it ready for air? Like,
it's aired in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, but it was also death of MTV.
Right.
Because when it was this easy to upload something,
yeah,
and World Star would have something, the blogs would have on Smash through Vimeo, we couldn't get the videos closed caption. We couldn't be that fast. We couldn't be that place. People had to artificially hold on to their videos for in order to premiere. I remember the Drake Best I Ever Had leak. That I'll never forget that. Like, we worked so hard to get that video premiere and on MTV.com, etc. And we got hacked, and it was everywhere. But they literally had to hold on to the video and to stall the premiere in order for us to be the ones to present it to the world, you know?
Yeah. So when you got to MTV, Butterman was already in the department, right? So
he was. Him and Justin joined 2001. I got there 2002.
Right.
Everything, yeah.
And so there was enough of MTV Jams for you guys to split roles and duties?
Yeah, because you have to remember, MTV Jams is 24/7 music videos, and so there's 168 hours of music videos to populate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's nothing. Come on.
Yeah, but it's not. Well, the way we did it was, I would do a day, Butter would do the next day. I would do a day, Butter would do the next day, and there were 8-hour loops, so you just had to go in on 8 hours, repeat it 3 times. But it was really important to us that every day felt different. You know what I mean? So if Butter was going a little bit more backpack, I would go a little bit mainstream, or a little bit more hood, or a little bit more regional. We would play off of each other's programming. But Jams I did with Butter for first 5 years. Because remember, I was there 10 years. So Butter left after 5 years. Then the last 5 years was myself, and then Sheila.
Sheila came on, yeah.
Sheila was she was like a godsend. She was an angel, like, and she would pretend to do what I do, like, you know what I mean? So it didn't feel any different. She held it down a lot.
We need to get Sheila on the podcast too.
100%. Oh yeah,
we do. So I was doing MTV Hits, and yeah, I would do an 8-hour loop as well, but I would just repeat blocks that I created that were like a staple, the latest and greatest, or across the pond or 80s hip hop, whatever. I would just keep those and I would just repurpose those blocks around today's hits. You guys were really creating more of a culture in your programming.
And for free, we did zero budget. Whenever there would be budget cuts, it would be like, that's okay. Half of zero is zero. We're like, hey, like we didn't have no budget. It was all love. I used to say, this is what I used to say to Sheila especially. Because we're only 20 million homes. MTV was 100 million homes. MTV2 was like 70 million at the time or 79 million. And I used to say, hey, we're in 20 million homes. Let's not look at the 80 million we don't have. Let the 80 million that don't have us look and like, why don't we have MTV Jams, right?
Yeah.
Let them envy the 20 million, right? And so I also used to say, hey, our budget is love. Our budget is love. It's not zero. It's love. So if we pour our hearts into it, and even the people who used to give us content used to give us for free, the Shahims and the Ramans would repurpose the MTV, the mixtape Mondays, the mixtape dailies, and we'd run them as bumpers, the Hood Fabs and the Parker Reports. Later on came, those were later. That was later. That's we didn't have humans until the first Miami VMAs. That was when we got humans on thing. When Christina Norman was about to be the president of MTV, this I remember David and Tom were like, hey, like, we'll give you a little something, let's just test this out, right? And we had got Usher. I still have the poster in my hallway. Usher, Fat Joe, Lil Jon, Kanye, and Nelly. Mm. They all were like, this is our favorite stuff. That was the first time. Or Jason Arambulo would the camera just follow around, et cetera, et cetera. What's my favorite? Okay, let's toss to this video. And then that's when we started getting things like Fab Five.
Yeah.
Little. But what we would do is the jam of the week. Just make sure that we were honest with the jam of the week, that this was the jam of the week. This was, right, later on, I remember when Michael Jackson passed away, the RIP bug. Because you have to remember something. We used to have artists that would die, like let's say Dollar was a rapper, he died. Dollar died like a week before Michael Jackson. The only place that could address his passing is MTV Jams. That's the only audience that knew who he was, right? So we got the RIP bug, right? The on-air graphics made the RIP bug, and in E-Log we would replace the MTV Jam station ID with RIP for that particular video. And then 1 week later, Michael Jackson passes away. We were the only channel that had all. I spent hours because you have to remember something. There were rumors of Michael Jackson passing away before CNN confirmed or TMZ.
Right.
But we couldn't do anything. So what I said was I had to go speak to some kids in Harlem at Democracy Prep, right? I was doing a keynote at Democracy Prep's graduation, right? So I said, I called the NOC. I said, I'm going to make about 5 hours of changes. All Michael Jackson videos with the RIP bug. Do not accept these changes until I let you know, until I confirm, right?
Nice. Yeah.
Because I couldn't let down those kids, right? I couldn't let down those kids and cancel because of if Michael Jackson passed away, we knew it was going to be an emergency. Yeah. So what happened was, I did all the E-Log changes, and for anyone who doesn't know what E-Log is, it was a correction software. Like if you made a mistake or you ran out of time, you could go correct. I made hours and hours of E-Log changes. Michael Jackson.
All those red lines, man. It must have been a headache.
Like 4 or 5 hours. And then the moment it was confirmed by TMZ and CNN,
boom.
Accept the changes. I called them. They accepted the changes, did it. But this is what we didn't anticipate. The NOC, every channel wanted to honor Michael Jackson, VH1, MTV News, et cetera, et cetera. NOC got so overwhelmed that they refused everyone's changes except for MTV, who Cyrilnik and them were about to go live with Sway, right? So the whole world was watching MTV Jams. Twitter had already been invented, and people were like, go turn to channel 68. Everyone was watching MTV Jams. Everybody, like literally, because that we were the only ones.
Yeah,
who
you
had
prepared
a
for
choice.
it.
Yeah, prepared, and it was by circumstance because we couldn't do anything about it. And then I'm
Yeah.
not
No,
canceling.
it's smart, man. Yeah.
You know?
So the other half of the job was label relations side.
Yes.
And I was looking after Warner and a couple Sonys and a couple indies. So what did you like about the label relations side, and did you pick your own labels, or were they kind of previous relationships, or how did that
No.
happen?
When I first came, I was the indie label rep, right? So I dealt with the beggars groups, the Matadors. Holly Showman was big on indie labels at the time, right?
Yeah.
Indie music. So a lot of the stuff that went on Subterranean, or even Headbangers Ball, Tooth and Nail, Razor and Tie, Epitaph, K7, the VP, which was reggae. I love VP.
Yep.
TVT was the biggest one at that time.
Yeah.
Right. So I was the indie label rep for all the independent labels at that time, right? And Courtney Smith, who was another godsend, I used to bring her into a lot of the meetings. Like if Domino Records was coming, and I'm not gonna remember any of the names they name drop. I said, Courtney, join. She'll be happy to join, right?
Of course, yeah.
And she'll remember everything. She'll engage, and so during that time, I would tag team a lot. Holly, Courtney, there was the Ultra Records and all the dance stuff, and I would actually go to the shows and discover what was the Peaches, like, what, you know what I mean? What was it, Cat
Right.
Power or whatever? What's that? What was it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, I would go to those shows, like, because that was part of our diplomacy. That was how
you wanted to represent as well.
Yeah, it's to make sure that the phone calls were responded to.
Yeah,
that they were addressed, that we didn't miss anything that was up and coming. Tom made me do a big presentation once that I'll never forget. It was really good to me. It was. I don't know if it was for everyone else. But I wasn't that guy in my own personal taste. Hip hop and R&B was my personal taste, and African music actually, but African music wasn't mainstream like it is now. So what happens is I did that for many years. A2IM came up during that time. If you guys remember the independent music, Saddle Creek, the guy at Saddle Creek was giving us a hard time, like, you know. So but so I really was thankful at that time because we had such a team spirit that I got so much support that nothing fell through the cracks. I would show up. I remember Tim Armstrong. He was in Transplants.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I remember him becoming really cool with him. It's something, if you saw Schiffman, he was dating Brody from Distillers at the time. So even when the Distillers would come to town, I get invited to those dinners, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was very, because he wrote a song about Rwanda, and Tammy from Epitaph was like, Tuma is originally from Rwanda, because he wrote about the genocide. He was the first person. This is before Hotel Rwanda.
Wow.
Before, he was the first person to do something about Rwanda. And,
wow, I didn't know that.
So that's how I became cool with him. He came to the office. He tell me like, "Yo, I'm friends with RZA." I'm like, "I'm friends with RZA." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was real cool. It was a good time. So wait, long story short, I did that for a few years, and then it went to Warner Brothers, Interscope, and Columbia was my main. So Windy, Gary Fisher, and Leanne Callahan, and then later Grace Lee. And by the way, me and Grace worked at YouTube for many years until recently. So we reunited, and Interscope was Saslo and Hervé, R.I.P. Hervé, and then Jen Zeller.
Yep. So when you were doing the indie labels, can you think of one indie hip hop and one indie rock artist that you discovered and you felt like, this is an artist that I have to push MTV to get behind?
Well, Lil Jon was a big one. I wouldn't say I discovered him, and Sean Paul was in the beginning, right? So Sean Paul was VP Records before Atlantic got involved. Yeah, and so and then Lil Jon, and then Pitbull also. Pitbull was also TVT, and
right.
Yeah. So Pitbull was signed to Lil Jon. The issue was not necessarily, I wouldn't call it discovery because we were kind of late in comparison to like the worlds that made them pop,
Right.
I think there was a little bit of a double standard when someone was independent at that time. You know what I mean? They weren't gonna go all the way. But Sean Paul, because it was VP Records, Atlantic took over, and you know what I mean, and Sean Paul became very big. And I still have a lot of Sean Paul plaques here from that era, and it wasn't the only person, so I can't take sole credit.
No, but you
I was
helped get behind
voice.
them.
I was a leading voice. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
exactly.
Do you think they were destined to eventually get where they were, or MTV, when they were signed to indies, really helped elevate their careers, both Little John and Sean Paul? Or you think they were on that kind of trajectory anyway?
So the tricky part is there's a lot of dope music, whether it be in the Southern hip hop world at the time and the reggae world, that did not surface above, right? So it's more of like there was a big incremental, you know what I mean, boost that helped to get over the top. So I don't know if they had gotten zero support, right? If it would have on its own at that time, time. Yeah, because you didn't just open up to airplay. Now you were doing Hard Rock Lives, you're doing VMAs, then you're starting your own label, because Lil Jon started his own label with Warner Brothers, and they had a little Scrappy in Trillville. He re-signed E40, and you know, Bo Hagen and all these guys, and Crime Mob. Especially that time, the amount of power MTV had, right? I don't even want to imagine what would have happened if they didn't get that support. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Especially with the ancillary programming, having them get booked on Spring Break and all of those.
Yeah, Spring Break. I forgot.
Stunt weekends. And,
Spanking New or Beach House or all of that stuff.
TRL, Spanking New Music Week on TRL, and there were so many different,
or even getting syncs in shows and stuff like that. That was a big thing too.
Oh yeah, that's 100%. And then remember they used to have the credits. They used to have the credits, and then is Rochelle Holguin and them used to work on it. With Jose. Do you remember the?
Yeah, they would Chiron the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, I miss that now. I wish shows would highlight music. Now you have to go to the website and see who played. But I guess that's where Shazam comes in.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that technology.
Of course,
No.
It was, we were the music ID. The Chiron was the music ID.
That was it.
That's why the directors for the music videos, it was so important for them to get their credit and not or Future not to be left out. Is Future? That's how I met Future, because he wasn't credited on a Chiron.
Wow.
And, for Racks on Racks on Racks. So.
We talked about in other episodes how at MTV you had your job, whether it was you like programming music videos or being a label rep and you sit in music meetings, but no day was ever exactly the same. Such as like, you know, a superstar could come into the music lounge, or you could go on site with an artist for a taping or performance. Yeah. What are some of the most memorable experiences you had at MTV, and what artists made the biggest impression on you?
Artists made the biggest impression on me. I have so many stories. Like that music lounge, there were so many moments, whether it be Bruno Mars with his little keyboard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Keisha Cole singing a cappella.
Right. I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
And she looked, I don't want to say humiliated, but she was like, I've never done this. Like, or even Kanye not liking the sound system and rapping a cappella. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't like the sound in here, right? I do a thing, and he took off our sound system and started rapping, right?
Okay.
I remember Tierra Marie coming one week with Gabby, and then Rihanna coming the next week, like a few weeks later. You know what I mean? And
I remember that Rihanna meeting. Absolutely.
Yes, and that's the only time I've ever met her. I've never met her outside of that meeting. By the way,
interesting.
I've never crossed paths with her. That was the only time. And I remember her manager at the time talking to him, and you know, and she was from the islands, So that time there weren't a lot of like pop stars. There were not very many pop stars from the islands. I remember Justin Bieber, Scooter bringing him around. Lisa Loricella telling us like that little kid's a star. That there was almost a stampede at when they did the pre-VMA. You know, they used to do those pre-VMA Six Flags, and that they had to like evacuate him, right?
Wow.
And so I remember him coming around. I remember Jay-Z used to come around a lot because Jay-Z was the president of Def Jam.
Yeah.
And he actually would come and be in meetings and engage and argue and etc. Like, so I remember him coming around a lot.
You have a story where you stepped on his sneakers?
Well, I didn't realize it was him.
Yeah.
If you remember, before you got into the music lounge, there used to be a pool table, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a pool table. They turned it into intern cubicles later on.
Yep.
Right? And I always said that was the day MTV died, when they turned that pool table into intern cubicles. Because I remember it just felt different, right? Because the pool table looked like a bar, it had that lighting above, and then there was the gumball machine, and then that Coke, free fountain Coke, like Coca-Cola. Right, and it was always like diluted. It always tasted like water, right?
Oh, the other entrance of the music lounge.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
You think about from your office. I'm talking about from my office, like
right.
Yeah, because that was where the Vans and them used to come. Van Toffler used to come through there, and that's also the bathroom was there. So you know, so Tom in the morning. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but
that Coke machine was always flat.
10 a.m. Tom used to always go to the bathroom, and to me, that was his way of seeing who was at the office.
Right.
Yeah. He used to go to the bathroom. It was like clockwork. Like clockwork. He had like a 10 a.m. Bathroom run, right? And he would see whose doors were open. But what happened,
was Buddha in at that time?
I don't know. You talking about that day? I have no idea.
He used to come in. He was on island time, right?
I plead the fifth. I don't know. That entrance was where Jay-Z was with Kevin Liles, and I'm clumsy. I'm just, you know what I mean? And I just like all of a sudden, and he was like, "Yo," and then I remember I had a corny line and I didn't use it. I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He has a line where he says, "My slippers is clean." You know what I mean? And I almost used that line. I didn't because I didn't want to come off as corny. But yeah. But he wouldn't remember stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? But he would remember coming to the office a lot. Like, and
I'm
he
sure.
would argue. I had an argument with him, and Christina Norman came to my office, closed the door, and said, "You should never ever," you know what I mean? Get into it with an artist like that. Like, you know.
You were just full of passion, man.
No, I was trying to explain to him like how it works. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you remember, the Rock Boys video was the first video that you didn't have to blur your brands. You remember? Because he's telling a story, and there was an Adidas. He was wearing Adidas tracks for the kid in Rock Boys, and so we had edited his storytellers really bad the week before the VH1. I'm not gonna say who was on the kill switch, but it was like Swiss cheese. He did the storytellers for VH1. And then he did not like it. And he went on tour because so many words. So he was in Christina Norman's office. Christina Norman called me, Amy. I was in the standards meeting, and I'm trying to explain, bro. I was like, guy, like when they say you're selling yay, meaning cocaine, and then he's explaining the double entendre. When I said I'm selling yay, I'm also saying I'm selling Kanye, like Kanye CDs. You know what I mean? He's like, you know, he was explaining a whole bunch of very nuanced, rooted things. You know what I mean? I'm trying to explain to him the process. And then, John Manili was just in there like this. John Manili was his manager at the time. He was just like, what's going on here? And we're just going back and forth. Like, you know what I mean? It was serious. But then right after that, he got an exemption because there was a Maroon 5 video the week before that where they rolled up a dead body.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes. I do remember that one. So
they allowed the ending of the Rock Boys video. They allowed it was a big deal, and after that there was no more blurring of brands because you know what I mean on the videos. Yeah.
What about effing MTV with Lil Wayne and Vampire Weekend?
Well, so what happened was so Carter 3 came out, right? It was the second week of effing MTV. I think Cobra Starship did the first week, right? And they positioned to Lil Wayne and them like, hey, this could be victory lap. Carter 3 sold 1 million records. Hey, we want to get your reaction, which is now on YouTube is a common thing to get a reaction of a video.
Yep.
And she shows him Oxford Comma, which was seamless. And Wayne loved that Vampire Weekend video. And he was like, I'm going to do this, right? Because remember at that time there was only a few videos that was one shot.
The one take videos.
Yeah, one take. It was a one take. And then I guess he had a video shoot with Gil Green for You Get Money, You Know It, with T-Pain, right? This away, that away, this away, that away. And he, in the middle of that shoot, said to Gil Green, follow me. And they did a one take video for a milli. And that was the song that they performed at FNMTV. He did not have a video. That was a big song without a video.
Wow.
And so all of a sudden, we get this video where he's just walking through a crowd in like Miami or something, like outside of a bank that they were shooting at. They were shooting a video at. And I saw it. I said, oh my gosh, I was right there when Wayne said he was going to do that. I was right there where he got the inspiration. So that was wild to me.
We're going to throw what we call a quick fire segment. Get to know Tuma.
Okay.
What was your first concert?
Ever?
Yeah.
Beach Boys.
Okay. Where was that?
America. Iowa City, Iowa, like 1985, 86. It was Heartbeat of America. It was the time Kokomo came out. My friend's mom got free tickets.
Excellent.
Carver Hawkeye Arena, Iowa City, Iowa. My dad was a student at University of Iowa. That's why I lived in America when I was a kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's one thing on your bucket list?
To visit every country in Africa.
Okay. You almost there?
No.
No.
I'm like 13 of 54 countries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who have you?
Got time.
Yeah, I got time. I'll do it. Like, yeah, and you know what I mean. And have a great wife who loves Africa just as much as I do.
Exactly. Who have you still yet to see perform?
Alive?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably not many.
Yeah. Give me.
But you want to see? Yeah. Who's
Well, no. I don't know. Give me an example of somebody. Because I think I've seen everybody that I wanted to see.
That's good.
Not alive that I did not get to see.
All right. Yeah. Who would be?
Prince. I didn't get to see Prince perform.
Okay.
Really?
No. Wow. I had an opportunity to see Prince, and I gave the extra ticket to my dad's friend.
Oh.
And because my dad and yeah. So.
All right. What was the first album that you bought?
With my own money or as a gift?
With your own money.
My own money. I bought this cassette as a used cassette from another friend in Zimbabwe, the DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince.
Oh,
he's the DJ. I'm the rapper. But as a gift, it's probably Michael Jackson Off the Wall from my dad. Oh no, Fat Albert. It was a Fat Albert album.
All right. I think I know the answer to this question. What's your favorite country that you've visited?
Ever?
Yeah.
The United States of America.
No,
I'm kidding. My sentimental favorite is Rwanda.
Yeah.
That's a sentimental favorite.
That's good, yeah.
Okay.
Who is the most famous person in your contacts?
I can't say that.
Okay. Then it's someone big.
It's Andrew, right?
Yeah.
That's Andrew Schiffman, yeah.
Thank you. Andrew, if you were to get a tattoo of an artist's face or a logo on you, who would it be?
I would never do a tattoo. I don't have any tattoos. I would never do it. I would die before I do a tattoo. I swear.
All right.
Yeah. I'm not a tattoo guy. Like, I'm just not. It's cool for other people, and I appreciate the art. But for me, I'm not putting nothing.
No tattoos.
Yeah, on my body. No.
Favorite sports team?
Iowa Hawkeyes.
Second favorite? Come on, I'm wearing the shirt.
Commanders. Right now, it's the Commanders.
Oh.
Yeah, Washington Commanders right now.
So where is Arsenal on that list?
Third?
All right. What's your favorite decade of music?
90s.
You got to know a little bit about Tuma Basa.
That was easy.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about in our past podcasts the perks of working at MTV. Shows, dinners, just being around that culture and celebrity. Also a perk was working directly with artists at award shows. Maybe you don't think it's a perk during the time. So are there any artist relation stories from award shows that are special to you?
I had one of the toughest days of my life working with 50 Cent in 2005 at the Miami VMAs when he was beefing with Game, and he had Mobb Deep and MOP wearing Game Over t-shirts, and then Game's guys had GU Not.
Oh,
right. Literally, and so we had to keep them apart. We had to do all kinds of walkthroughs with Navy SEALs the day before.
Oh my God.
Undercover police officers from Miami, because George Bush's daughters, Jenna Bush, the two daughters, were going to be at the VMAs. So we had all kinds of plainclothes policemen in the audience. Fat Joe and 50 were beefing at the time, and Fat Joe said something about we can thank Curtis Jackson for the extra police. 50 wanted, he was with Mace, and he wanted Mace to have camera seats. And Tony Yayo had just got out of jail, so we didn't have enough seats. And if you remember, I don't know if you remember this. If you remember when Fat Joe was introducing Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, and Tego Calderon, the reggaeton medley, this is Miami.
Mm-hmm.
50 got out of his seat and started running in the audience. He got out of his camera seat, started running to distract, and he was going like this, yeah. And that's why Fat Joe said that remark, right? I was the guy running behind him with my radio, like, 50, come back. I had baggy pants. This is the day we used to wear baggy pants. So I'm holding on the radio on one hand, holding on to my baggy pants, running after 50, like, come back. Because we had one job, and that was to make sure that the talent, we knew what the talent was. And once they performed, I'm going to make a long story short, because this is a whole movie. 50 of them went into their bulletproof cars. We had practiced the exit. And his entourage, who were not in the camera seats, pulled up. Miami Police Department thought it was the terror squad guys, and I was in between them saying, hey, these are not terror squad, this is G Unit. And the Miami Police Department thought it was about to be like a big thing, and I'm trying, like, these guys need to get to their cars, because we had all kinds of cars ready, bulletproof.
Yeah.
As soon as thing, and 50 of them left Prodigy and Havoc from Mobb Deep. So now I'm like, he's gone, and David Sassow said, don't you ever do that again. Don't risk your life for this job, right? Because I'm literally the human barrier telling the Miami Police Department that they need to leave these guys alone. They need to, because I was passionate. I was just like, they need to get to the car, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking to police who think that there's about to be a brawl. But I'm saying, no, these are not, these are G-Unit guys. They just weren't in camera seats. They were in the off-camera seats, and they need to get to the car. And then we left, not we, but Prodigy and Havoc, Prodigy, the late R.I.P. Prodigy, got left behind. And
the funny thing about that story is, I think any of us in that department probably would have done the same thing, because we felt that was our responsibility. That was 100%. Our job. Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. 100%.
From the moment they get out the cars to the moment you put them in and they're done, and you're like, all right, my night's done.
Oh, can I tell you what happened when Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift? Because I'm the first person David Nathan saw.
Oh, wow. Let's hear it.
Okay. First of all, I knew who Taylor Swift was because she was at the previous VMAs the year before. She lost. I was assigned to Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne knew who Taylor Swift was. She was nominated for Best New Artist. Tokyo Hotel won, right? She didn't win.
Can you believe that?
Yeah. She didn't win Best New Artist. Taylor Swift did not win. I'm with Sheila, and Drake was there too, by the way. Drake was unknown. Sheila knew who Drake was because she walked to Degrassi. And she's like, why is the guy from Degrassi with Lil Wayne? I said, what is Degrassi? She's like, it's a show on Nickelodeon. I think it's from Canada. My nieces watch it. I was like, I've never heard of this show in my life, right? And then I remember asking Rochelle about it and all that stuff. Wayne stops to say hi to Taylor Swift. He knew who Taylor. She was in a golf cart, right? And they were chopping it up. He knew who she was back then, right? So I knew who Taylor Swift was because then there was like some show where some high school kid took him to the prom and all that. And I was like, do you remember that, Perry?
Lisa Loricella was a talent escort for Taylor on that shoot.
So I already knew how big or thing. So Taylor Swift wins. Kanye was already drunk. I had seen Gabe and Kanye on the red carpet, and I saw Gabe, and he was stressing. He was drinking straight out of a Hennessy bottle. He had Amber Rose, and so I'm like, oh man, Gabe has a job, right? Like, right? I was thinking about Gabe. I wasn't thinking about Kanye, right? Gabe was at Def Jam, but I knew him from his reggae days when he used to do all the reggae stuff. He was a publicist. Then I was Kid Cudi. And then I wasn't even watching the show. I didn't even know what was going on. I'm in the hallway, and then all of a sudden, David Nathan yells at me, "This is how you treat your artists? This is what you do to, like, you guys can't know what we were." I said, David, I don't even know why are you yelling? I have no idea what's going on. Then I saw Kanye's people in the foyer. This is Radio City Music Hall. And there's a foyer, right? There's like right before you enter, like with the usher.
Yep.
I see Kanye in a huddle. It was like GLC. I think it was Fonzo Bentley. It was like Kanye's barber. It was like all these guys. They were in a huddle, and they were like, and I have no idea what's going on. And I was like, yo, what's going on? They're like, yo, Kanye ruining it for everybody. I said, what? He went on stage during Taylor Swift. I said, what? Like, yeah, he went on stage during when Taylor Swift won her award. I said, no way, because I didn't even see it. I was working. I didn't even see it. And then I understood why David Nathan yelled at me, why he said that. I was lost. So, of course, we see it on TV a million times after that. And,
David gave us a good reenactment on, she was performing after that acceptance speech. And that was the big, what was it? Fifth Avenue outside performance, and he had to like give her a little bit of a pep talk to say, look, focus on this.
Yeah.
Next, this is going to be big for you. So
whatever happened with Taylor Swift? Did she become big after that? Is she popular? You were at MTV till 2012, and after that, you made your way over to Spotify.
No. I went to Revolt first.
Revolt, right?
Yeah, I went to move to LA. I went to Revolt first. It took us about
and then Spotify, and then YouTube Music. So, what do you think you learned at MTV that helped you in your subsequent roles? And we can't talk to you without mentioning Rap Caviar, which became the definitive hip hop music playlist during your time at Spotify.
Well, you have to remember something about Rap Caviar is I was just mixing the boundaries of MTV Jams and a little bit of 106 in Park, right? That's what Rap Caviar was. It was like almost like a countdown. I used to call it at that time. I used to call it the Sports Center of hip hop, right? It's like, hey, something took me and I couldn't watch the game, I can catch the highlights right here, and I'm up to speed. I can be a part of the conversation. I can discover stuff. I can say I don't like something. I like something. I can make my own playlist out of it, cherry pick the stuff I like. I can skip. So that's the model, and that came from jams, really. Even the combination of what Tom used to call like image wins. You know what I mean? Like, hey, or I'm just playing this just because it's dope. You know what I mean?
What do you think about leaving video programming, which is your programming for an audience, and then going to streaming where they could just press shuffle, and the order that we were so passionate about, how one song plays into the next, is almost irrelevant?
Well, okay. I have a theory about this. that in music programming or music curation, there's permutations and there's combinations, right?
Mhm.
Combinations is when permutation is when the sequence matters. In mathematics, that's the actual definition. Combination, the sequence doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I don't believe in force feeding the sequencing that I think. So I like the fact that people have an option and it forces me to get it right.
Yeah.
It forces me to get it right. So what you're talking about is we had an incredible amount of power as gatekeepers, and where sometimes that power can get to your head where you think that, hey, people should like things exactly how I give it to them, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like no soup for you, right? You see what I'm saying? I don't believe in that. I believe that if people choose to put it on shuffle, they choose to have the free version that's gonna take it out of sequence. That's okay. But I have presented it. So if I present you the plate as a chef, and the presentation is great, I want you to eat it. I don't care if you like, you know what I mean, mix up
Right.
the rice.
You're just giving the ingredients.
The chicken and the rice, and you make it
You're
arroz
just giving
blanco.
the ingredients, right?
And I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna have pride, etc. But from at that point, once it leaves my kitchen, right? It's yours. It's not mine anymore. You see what I'm saying? And if you're a good curator, you have the audience in mind, not you. It's not about you. You are not the focus. The object is the audience. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you think when like Rat Caviar blew up and it became the be all and end all of what you should be listening to?
Okay. Sorry, did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead. Yeah.
What I really thought is that if MTV Jams had unlimited distribution, it would have been way bigger than this. It would have been way bigger than this.
Wow.
If it had unlimited distribution. But it had so limited distribution, was not even a priority, right? It was MTVU was a priority way before. They had budgets and staffs and all that stuff, right? It was not a priority, right? But if it had, it would have been bigger than this. That's how I used to think. So for me, it was a little bit of a vindication, right? In terms of, because I knew the appetite was there, and I knew the material was there, but the infrastructure was not. The human infrastructure was not, because the people who wrote the checks, they would only invest in what they knew, and I understood that. People don't invest in things that are risky or that they don't understand. I understand that, but you didn't have much diversity in the highest ranks, right? And I'm not knocking that time, right? I'm just saying that was the reality, and we knew this, right? So that's why me and Shaheem and Rahman and Sway were all very close. I don't know if you remember, we used to do the hottest MCs. We used to do a lot of cross-functional things. We were so close. They used to call us the 1515 boys on the blogs, right? That's what they used to call us. Jason Rodriguez, Rob Markman, Joseph Patel. They used to call us 1515 boys. Nadeska, Rebecca, who else was there? Sean Lee is.
You had a round table, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, every year.
Film a round table, yeah.
But it was year round. That was the part that aired on TV.
Right.
But it was year round. Elena wasn't a part of that, but she was part of that kind of, and Whitney Gail Benta, part of that brain trust, where we felt at disadvantage at that time. We didn't feel understood, and we didn't feel prioritized, but we're happy to be there, and we're gonna do the best with what we had, right? So when things went into streaming and there was no limitations and it could go international, I used to say this in interviews, I knew that hip hop was bigger than all those rock bands, all that stuff, right? I knew this, but it was hidden markets. It was mixtapes. It was battle rap. You know what I mean? That you had to actually be there. It was DVDs and a lot of pirate type of websites like World Star. There was a whole ecosystem, right, that existed that made hip hop rappers way bigger, but it was black. Let's just be 100% honest. So the infrastructure in terms of where the money went or whatever did not at that time didn't get to us. Like, you know what I mean?
It's interesting though that you mentioned that, you felt maybe there wasn't as much diversity at the senior levels at MTV, but within our department
was by far the most diverse. It
was incredibly diverse.
You can't even compare to the other departments. You can't even compare to the other companies. We were so diverse, right? Like, and that was part of the magic of our department. You see what I'm saying? That was the magic of our department. And that's why when we would deal with other departments, we were like, yo, like, and they'd be like, yo, like, you guys hiring? You guys, everyone wanted to be part of music and talent. You know what I mean? No. Funny. By the way, I'm saying this in hindsight. That's part of the bonding that happened that was off the radar. Hey, Shah, Rahman, what do you got? Oh, Nicki Minaj, Beam Me Up, Scotty mixtape's coming out, and nobody knows who Nicki Minaj is. You guys the mixtape daily? Okay, boom. And Tembi, I don't know. Do you guys remember Tembi? She worked in integrated marketing. She was Nicki Minaj's best friend. She used to come into my office all the time. When Nicki Minaj was part of the Hood Stars before Young Money, when Nicki Minaj was down with Gucci Mane and living in Atlanta, Tembi used to fight for Nicki. I'm talking about years before. When Nicki came to do that documentary, I had met her already. But now she's a big star. Mm-hmm. And she went to say hi to everybody. She was like, I know you, because I met her when she was with Lil Chucky and Lil Twist in Brooklyn Gymnasium. Tembi, since she was young, when she was signed to Bowlegged Lou, Tembi used to fight for Nicki. Said, my friend Cookie, she's gonna be big. She's called Cookie. She's gonna be big. And I'm just like, okay, all right, okay. And then there were no females that were that big at that time.
Right.
There was no precedent. Not that big. So even the story of Nicki Minaj, because of Twitter, she was not limited. If you're a woman rapper, it was like, okay, you're the chick in the crew. All right, whatever. You'll get your verse. You have to do this type of song or whatever. You'll get that play. Oh, we need to have like a woman in there. Like the internet came, there was no limit, and boom. You see what I'm saying? That's why I always say I come from the gatekeeper era, and I've said this before. Is that there was a difference between gatekeeping and hate keeping, right? And gatekeeping was about protection and preservation and creating boundaries, cultural boundaries. Hate keeping was asserting your own power and feeling yourself, right?
But feeling yourself. I honestly didn't think most of us, if any of us, did that in our department.
We couldn't. We weren't allowed because Tom wouldn't allow it. Amy wouldn't allow it. Michelle Dix would not allow it.
Right.
The senior Joanna was nice. Judy McGrath was the nicest. So you couldn't, even if you tried, you couldn't get away. There was too many checks and balances to act funny, and there was way too many checks and balances. But other places, people got away with it. Even though other places there was corruption, you couldn't get away with that at MTV. Like there was too many checks and balances.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. At YouTube Music, what is your role there, and what are a few of the most memorable achievements or moments working there?
My role is Black music and culture specifically. It's global, which is really cool because I'm global, right? So everything that has to do with R&B, hip hop, UK rap, Afro beats, I'm a piano, everything that kind of that world, that orbit is our partnerships, our programs, making sure that we do it correctly because it's going to happen anyway, right?
Right.
And it's all assimilated into all the other kind of music, scaled education programs like Avenues or Future Insiders, where we're actually giving game or the tools of how to optimize, how to monetize on YouTube. Those were more in person with present cultural moments, whether it be Howard Homecoming or Wireless Festival in London.
Right.
These are our partners that make sure that they're informed, that they're empowered, and that they feel prioritized. This is what brings a lot of cultural capital to the platform and to the organization, right? So a big part of that. I work with a team that works directly with artists and their teams and keeping them up on all the newest tools and features. Right now, Gen AI is a big thing. Is whether it be Gen AI integration into the platform or even using Gen AI in the workplace, you know. So I think I'm a leading voice. I don't know. Maybe I might not be, but in my head I am. In that innovation and embracing that. So we do things like Gen AI summits in like London. So that's a part of like what I do. There's a lot. I work with so many great departments. Right now it's Black History Month, so we have shelves for Baltimore club music, DC Go-Go. We have next week is DC Go-Go, the New Orleans bounce music. We have last week we had Chicago House, and we're paying tribute to that. There was even a Google Doodle for Chicago. It is just cool shit like that. There's a million things going on in one day.
Busy man.
I work with busy people, like so. They're busier than me.
I'm sure. So we talked about a perk of MTV is going to shows. Obviously, in our job to see an artist live in their element, to see the fans, to see who goes to the show is a good learning curve as well. We like to ask our guests what their favorite, and this could be New York or wherever you've been, what's a favorite venue that you've seen artists? What's one of your most memorable shows? And perhaps what's the most memorable show during your MTV days?
Well, my favorite venue is probably SOBs.
Okay.
And I have a million shows that I've been to there. But the SOBs also, there was a time where even the bouncers knew me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think one of them was named Junior. He was friends with Nolan Baines. And
okay.
And I wouldn't even have to be on the list. Be like, yo, you're good. Like in Atlanta, they call that face card. Like when your face is good, like you're good sitting there. Like, you know. So that has to probably, because there are also a lot of up and coming artists. My favorite show it will shock you, because it's not a hip hop or R&B or Afrobeat show during my MTV time.
Yeah.
My favorite show was seeing Green Day at Bowery Ballroom.
Oh,
wow!
And it was so. It was during the American Idiot time, right? Like Wake Me Up When November Ends, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
This is during the Gulf War, and you know, and Liz Lewis and Wendy Griffiths, and then I think Andy Manning probably was still there at the time. I was one of the few that got a ticket because Green Day could fill up probably a stadium at the time.
That was a special show, yeah.
It was an underplay. I wasn't like a big Green Day fan. When I was in a little special section, I think Leo was there too. Leo, who's now the boss of YouTube, because it was Warner.
Of course.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And because it was underplayed, everyone there was so excited to be there. And and then the other one that will shock you, AFI at Irving Plaza. Me and Jenny Rosella went together, and we did not know what to expect. And that shit was like some cult shit. Like, you know what I mean? That was, so I'm saying these because they were surprises. That wasn't the kind of show that I expected to like, or was even within my personal taste of music.
Right.
But because of MTV and my duties, I attended and I was like delighted. I was like, wow. If I ended up doing the movie awards like the next year, and I remember like, nah, they're not gonna get the same experience like what we saw. Because it was like they were like straight edge punk.
Yeah.
And it was the most incredible experience. Like I was like, wow. You know, this is during the MTV era.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't take it for granted, but we could go to any show that we wanted. Sometimes we didn't know the artist, but we went because we were the label rep and we had to support. And sometimes those were the best shows because they were shocking and we were like, holy shit, now I get to go back and champion this band because I saw them live. So, you know, for the last 25 years, you've had pretty much any ticket to a show that you wanted to go to. So now,
one more.
Yeah, go on.
Within my personal taste, and I took Tom Calderon and Amy Doyle to see On the Reggae Tip. Hot 97 had a show called On the Reggae Tip, and Elephant Man was the headliner, right? And Elephant Man is incredible, energetic. They just call him the Energy God, and that was just as good as the AFI, by the way. Just when I say it was not. And Tom was like blown away. Tom was an Elephant Man fan. Like, remember, he was like, because you got that Jamaica like like yeah, we got like all that in the and then after the whole show, he would calm it down. And he would have everyone singing "We Are the World." He'd be like, "There comes a time when we heed a certain call," and everyone was doing all the dances, the signal de plane up there, no dance all nice again. Like that was the one of the most. And Lil Jon was there. Yeah, actually, I have a picture even. You know what I mean? Of a, like backstage picture. And ask Tom. That was an incredible show. So that also might be my best memory. I mentioned Tom. We went to, and Amy was there too, Arcade Fire when they first came. That was a hot ticket.
And I have a note that David Bowie was there.
Yes, and that was the only time I've ever seen David Bowie in person. So even when he passed away, that hurt. Like, you know what I mean? Because I felt like, damn, like I've been in the same booth as David Bowie, and I think Brian Layton was there too, if I remember correctly. Because I remember something that happened that Brian Layton was there, you know?
Right. So do you still go to as many shows, or they're more selective now?
Selective, but is I live in Washington, D.C. area now, right? Is more when somebody's like, yo, Tuma, I'm in town, I'm in your city. You know, because I moved back here during the pandemic, so I work from Washington, D.C. So when someone's in town, like someone from a label or a manager or whatever, that's how I find out. They'll be like, yo, you pulling up? And then so for me, it's more of a chance to say hello and to actually see the show. So it's more of the nature has changed. It's less me scouting and it's more me reconnecting because I'm not in New York or LA or Atlanta anymore. So it's harder for me to see people, you know what I mean? In person, yeah.
And you have other people on the team to send to
well, they're younger and they're what they call
ones in New York.
They're outside. You know what I mean? So, they'll tell me like, yo, and they're going to the studio to listen to the music. So I trust them, and I trust their taste, and I trust their judgment. You know,
amazing, man.
Yeah,
I don't want this to end. This is amazing.
Let me ask you some questions, Schiffman. What did Wesley Millette? He used to call you a nickname.
Man, that's a name I haven't heard for a long time.
Because when I remember, because I worked with Wesley.
He came into programming, right? He was for a little bit the head of programming.
You were in LA with him.
Oh, PR as well, yeah.
Yeah, and then I worked with him at BT, and then he used to. Was it called Shifty? Did he call you Shifty?
Well, my nickname, Shifty.
Shifty. Oh, okay.
So maybe that was it. I forgot it was LA.
If you remember, but you were there when I spilled Pepsi on Suge Knight.
So I wasn't going to bring it up because I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it.
Fine. You were standing right there.
I have told
both. You were the people who saw the whole.
I have told this story so many times where you're just like, it happened. You looked down. You said sorry, and then you're like, sorry.
Yeah, that was.
Where was this? At a show?
No, it's at the VMAs in Miami.
Yeah. And then what happened was, I walked like this, and my hand hit. He was holding somebody was holding Pepsi, and Suge was like in a white linen suit. Oh. And then I hit the Pepsi. The Pepsi flew all over Suge's white linen suit. And I didn't realize it was Suge. He turned around. I was like, oh my God. I thought I was going to die. And this is the height of his reign of terror.
He was banned from even being in the venue.
No, we didn't know that he was P.D. Pablo's manager. And that's how he got in. That's how he got in. Yeah. And that's why he was there. Yeah. And if you remember, he even got shot the next year, VMAs.
Yes.
The very next year, because the second year, the VMAs it was Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
And he got shot at a pre-VMA party.
Was that Butterman's birthday party?
No, Butterman's birthday party was separate. That was R. Kelly attended that one. That was.
So we won't even go into like
that was Kanye's party, and I was on the way. I was on my way. I was in traffic, and they're like, "Nah, they shut it down because Suge got shot." And so they shut it down. So I was on my way. I was almost arriving, and then I got the call, and then I was like, "Oh shit, he got shot!" Like, "Oh man." Like, that's crazy at a party, you know? Yeah, but no. The Butter's birthday party used to be around the VMAs, but R. Kelly's the one who showed up. At least that's the big celebrity appearance that I remember. And it was a different R. Kelly. Let's not forget how big and how legit he was in terms of the public perception and the reception of his music at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was the biggest thing in the world. But at that time, it was a very big deal, you know? Yeah, it was a very big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had some good years, man. And hats off to you for continuing the ride, always being at the next biggest platform. And we've loved having you, Tuma.
Yeah, thank you, Tuma. Thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate it.
You guys are doing important work. You're documenting an important era. Is we didn't have social media at that time. We didn't have iPhones to take a lot of photos. There was a different culture in terms of discretion. We everything was closed doors, and so what you guys are doing and documenting not just the stories and the memories, but you know what I mean, but the chronology of events, and you know what I mean.
Thank you.
The context of you know the dynamics, and you know, and also Perry, one thing I want to acknowledge John Lascalzo, the late John Lascalzo.
Yeah.
And everything, because I thought about him last night too. I was like, man, I miss Lascalzo. I was like, man, R.I.P. John, and you know what I mean. Even before I got to MTV, Fred Jordan had passed away. I knew him when I was at BET, and he was part of the department, and he died the year before, 2 years before joining. So, but I remember him when I was at BET. He was counterpart at MTV, and he was so cool, like you know what I mean. So R.I.P. Fred Jordan.
Yeah, I think, you know, both of those guys had, you know, they were well liked and loved in the industry. So, very missed.
Yeah.
All right, Tuma, thank you so much.
Thank you guys. All right.
Thank you for joining us today in the Music Lounge.
And tune in next week to hear more stories about your favorite era of MTV.